Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, find out why no one on the Crossroads has a voter registration card for the March primary. An update on the area fires that burned throughout the weekend, and changes are coming to the Victoria Regional Airport.
We had a couple of days of chilly weather with that north wind blowing, but by tomorrow the strong south wind will be kicking in, and so we're going to be warming back up to the 80s. I'll have your forecast coming up.
And Victoria West football and Victoria East girls basketball reveal their top awards from this past season. We'll see the full report later on in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Shauna Curry has the night off. If you have not voted yet, there's still time. Early voting for the March 3rd primary runs through Friday. Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. this week, with Election Day Tuesday, March 3rd. Early voting takes place at the Dr. Patty Dodson Public Health Center, 2805 North Navarro. Now, with early voting underway, if you're still waiting on your voter registration card, you're not alone. The Lavaca County Elections Department says a statewide system issue is delaying more than 14,000 cards locally, but you do not need that card to vote in Texas. If you're on the voter roll, just bring an approved photo ID like a Texas driver's license or U.S. passport. Even expired IDs may still qualify. If you've moved or don't see your name on the list, you can check with the elections office for details. This reminder, early voting goes through this Friday with polls open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. as I mentioned, and the primary is March 3rd. The Victoria County District Attorney responds to a woman's push to have a neighbor prosecuted after a stray bullet went into her home. District Attorney Constance Johnson says a grand jury declined to return an indictment after being presented the evidence. An initial report from 25 News Now showed the immediate response from the Sierra family, and a report last night followed up with their attempts to call for prosecution. As part of her statement, DA Johnson says she understands the family's frustration, but expressed she was grateful that no one was injured. Victoria residents are voicing their frustrations with reaching animal services over the phone. Last week, multiple people said they tried calling about a concern during normal business hours with no answer. They then called the police department to be transferred back to an unanswered line at Animal Services. We asked the interim director about the concerns. He did not give a reason as to why phones were not answered during normal operating times. The Green Lake fire on State Highway 185 is now out. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with the Calhoun County judge today. He joins us now with details on the response.
More than 160 acres burned Saturday evening in Calhoun County. Calhoun County Judge Vern Lissy says the fire started out small, but the wind conditions fueled it into something of concern. The cause of the Green Lake fire is still unknown, but no infrastructure was damaged, nor any livestock or people hurt. Since then, crews with the Texas A&M Forest Service stepped in and bulldozed the remaining brush to make sure the fire didn't flare back up. Right now, Calhoun County has been under a burn ban for the past 2 weeks. Lissy says while many people burn their property every year without any issues, it only takes one incident to create a major problem.
There's people that, every year burn their own property, have never had a problem. Then you have an incident like this that creates a problem for a lot of people, creates a lot of problem for our resources. And we have to put something in place where it limits these people from taking upon themselves and burning recklessly.
Lissy says an agricultural burn can happen as long as a burn manager is present.
If you don't have to burn, please don't. Unless you have somebody trained that does this and has the knowledge on how the wind, temperature, and humidity react to all this.
Officials recommend that residents use the back burning method to offset any wildfire and lower its intensity. Lissy says it's always a risk to burn in an open field, whether you're in a burn ban or not, and says if you're not trained to burn, don't burn. There were several fires in the Crossroads over the weekend. Our local fire departments were all able to keep all of them from becoming a major disaster. Don?
Ray, thank you. The two large fires in the Texas Panhandle last week are now contained. The Lavender and 8-Ball wildfires, 100% contained. The 8-Ball fire burned over 13,000 acres. The Lavender fire burned over 18,000 acres. Crews kept that fire from jumping the highway north of Amarillo. There were mandatory evacuations in the first days of the fires. Residents are now allowed to return to their homes. And DeWitt County is now under a burn ban. The ban went into effect at 6 o'clock tonight, just a few minutes ago. The ban is scheduled to last for 90 days. DeWitt County residents can be fined up to $500 for any violations of the ban. Windy and dry, those were ripe fire conditions, and now cooler. So let's go to Mac Pettis with a first look at the forecast. And let's look at some trends this week, Mac.
Well, I'll tell you, the cooler trend is pretty much over with. By the time we get to tomorrow, the south wind is going to kick in, and that's going to start warming us back up. In fact, we'll be in the 80s as we get into this week and as we get all the way into the weekend. Tomorrow, the strong winds will be blowing probably about 20, 25 miles an hour. That's because the storms are all passing way north of our area. Any storms in sight? Not really, but we'll take a real close look at it coming up in just a moment. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. With all the new changes in the works at Victoria Regional Airport, a new airplane with new added amenities will soon be added to the flight schedule. The United CRJ 550 aircraft will replace the current CRJ 700 aircraft currently being used for both the evening and the morning flights. While the CRJ 700 has 75 seats as compared to the CRJ 550 that has 50, the CRJ 550 has several new features on board.
550 is the same aircraft, derated to 50 passengers. It provides first class and economy plus also. And in between the two sections, first class and economy, you have a new area that they created to put their roll-on bags, so you don't have to put them under the belly.
At this point, the morning flight to Houston will remain unchanged. In addition, the evening flight will leave Houston later, arriving in Victoria around 7 in the evening. The new planes go in service and new departure times begin this Wednesday. American tourists in parts of western Mexico are stranded after the death of a notorious cartel leader triggered widespread violence on Sunday. Several airlines, including Texas-based American and Southwest, suspended flights to cities like Puerto Vallarta and Guadalajara, and many routes won't resume until Wednesday. The unrest erupted after Mexican forces killed El Mencho, the country's most wanted cartel boss and head of the Jalisco New Generation cartel. U.S. officials say American intelligence supported the operation. If you see news happening, call our newsroom at 361-576-0026 or send us an email at staff@crossroadstoday.com. Texas public school districts have until next Sunday to decide whether to adopt a new state law allowing designated prayer time in the classroom. Texas Senate Bill 11 gives public schools the option to set aside time each day for prayer and reading from religious texts. But participation is entirely voluntary. No student or staff member is required to participate. Districts that choose to put in the policy must hold prayer time outside of regular class time in a location where non-participating students and staff cannot hear it. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. And then you see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Coming up on 25 News Now at 6, details on the latest strike by the Defense Department on an alleged drug boat. Also ahead, some people are very angry with the home builder. Find out those residents and why they are up in arms.
For a growing number of people in our community, nighttime doesn't mean sleep. It means survival. 25 News Now reporter Trenton Whiting takes a closer look at homelessness here at home, the challenges people face every day, and what's being done to help.
Being able to go take a shower and rest and good to go to work the next day and be comfortable without having to go to work dirty, that'd be awesome.
Life without a home. Thursday at 10 p.m.
There's been another deadly strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. U.S. Southern Command carried out the strike today. The attack killed 3 people on the boat you see there. Officials say a designated terrorist group operated the vessel, and intelligence confirmed the boat was moving along a known drug trafficking route. This is the 7th vessel the military has hit this year. The ongoing campaign, called Operation Southern Spear, has now killed more than 150 people, dating back to last year. Several families are left disappointed with their dream homes unfinished. Mike McKnight has the latest on a builder who is accused of taking millions of dollars in down payments.
2 years after a tornado wiped out 2 homes on the Beckett family acreage,
It just makes me mad.
daughter Tracy says she's blown away by Davis Custom Homes bankruptcy filing that lists the builder's assets at $500,000 to $1 million.
Out of us, along with all the other families, he should have a lot more than $1 million in assets. Where did it go? Why is he not in jail? It makes me so angry.
Davis Custom Homes lists debts from $10 to $50 million, with 100 to almost 200 creditors.
That's us and the vast array of creditors.
As I first reported, Tracy's parents used their life savings and tornado insurance claim to pay Davis Custom Homes for 2 barndominiums never built.
So your family paid him $800,000, and if you're lucky, you might get $16,000?
There's no guarantee, and there may be nothing left by the time it gets down to us.
Chapter 7 bankruptcy means after sale of assets, builder Keenan Davis could have leftover debts forgiven.
After researching all of this, there's no way he gets off the hook for this.
Attorney Randy Paragas represents a customer planning to file an action in the bankruptcy case.
To come in and show the bankruptcy judge that the acts that created the debts that Mr. Davis is trying to discharge were intentional acts and they were fraud. And they are non-dischargeable in bankruptcy, and that's what my clients are alleging.
After her family allegedly paid Davis Custom Homes $800,000, Tracy Beckett lives in a small trailer where she can see what they have to show for their money.
Instead of a barndominium, that's what we have right now.
In Washington County, Mike McKnight, First Alert 6.
The company also had customers in Texas. Several say liens have been filed on their property by unpaid subcontractors. To get more news, weather, and sports, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com. It's what they call a monster bomb cyclone, and it's battering the Northeast with widespread blizzard conditions, knocking out power and burying towns. Flight cancellations are mounting and travel bans are in place across the region. As the storm moves north, Michael Yoshida reports New England is now facing the brunt of this winter blast.
A massive winter storm hammering the Northeast. Blizzard conditions here in Boston, Massachusetts. Heavy, wet snow and strong winds impacting millions. Wild winter weather slamming the Northeast.
We're sort of a foot and a half under snow. It's a wicked nor'easter.
A massive bomb cyclone putting more than 40 million people under blizzard warnings and grinding travel to a halt.
We need residents to really stay home and heed that warning.
At least 7 states have received a foot of snow or more, and at least 4 states have been buried under at least 2 feet.
This is the worst storm in over a decade for us.
The heavy snow and hurricane-force wind gusts creating whiteout conditions, downing trees and power lines, leaving thousands in the dark.
We had about over 5,000 public workers, public utility workers across the state deployed. They're really getting people back up and online as quickly as possible.
New York receiving the most snow from a single storm in over 5 years.
Since last night, New York City has been in near blizzard conditions. Conditions have begun to moderate, but there is still more to come.
As the storm tracks north, blizzard conditions wreaking havoc on much of New England. In Boston, heavy, wet snow, wind gusts over 40 miles per hour, and a quarter-mile visibility making navigation treacherous.
Don't go out if you don't need to.
As some enjoy winter wonderland,
we look forward to it and the town just shuts down completely.
Others face a nightmare.
We're just in the airport. We don't know what we're going to do.
More than 10,000 flights have been canceled from Sunday to Tuesday, according to FlightAware, stranding travelers across the region. And as these conditions slowly improve, officials warning that the cleanup process to get this snow out of the roadways and highways, that will take some time. It also will be a slow process to get the power back on for all of those impacted by this storm. In Boston, I'm Michael Yoshida reporting.
We'll be taking a close look at that storm as it does pull away up to New Orleans, New England, and it was a doozy for sure. For us, a beautiful clear sky. It was a cold morning, got down to the 30s, but it did get fairly comfortable this afternoon. Right now we're at 62. The winds are not a problem, but tomorrow the winds are going to pick up from the south. We managed to get up to 66 after a 31 overnight low. Rain. That's kind of like in the distant future for us. It's going to be dry and it's going to get warmer. We'll talk about it coming up in a moment. Well, good evening, everyone. We had a little shot of winter weather over the weekend with that north wind that kicked in. Of course, we were worried about the fires, and you saw what happened there. We had 7 fires in the region over the weekend because of the winds. Well, now today, the winds have settled down from the north. Tomorrow, they're going to turn around from the south, and then we start the warming trend. So it was a 3-day cool snap. And I don't know that we're going to see another 31 as we get on. Well, here we are. It's the end of February. We're going into March. So in terms of rainfall, that one's kind of sad, really. And the reason for that is this big dome right here. You see how the lines go up and over? Well, that is a ridge of high pressure over the southwest. So that is going to block any kind of those Pacific storms from moving into our area. There's one big storm coming into the northwest right about now, but that dome is going to have to go away, and it's not really going away for about 6-7 days. In the 7th or 8th day from now, we may have a little change, and I'll show you that in a minute. Meanwhile, the big story of the day was the blizzard, absolute whiteout. 40, 50 mile an hour winds and snow. You know, you can have snow and it's really kind of pretty because it's falling soft and gentle, but when it's a 60, 50 mile an hour wind, it's a real problem. We still have snow flurries, snow showers throughout, even as far south as Ohio, but of course the main event was from New York City all the way to New England, basically to Martha's Vineyard. In New York over the weekend, they told people to stay inside and don't go anywhere. Just stay there, because it was so rough going and so hard to clean up the snowpack that was building. Let me show you another picture. This is where the circulation is, you see right there? And you can see why they call it a nor'easter, because the low tracks up in the water. It gets them a northeast wind, you see right there, but it's basically throwing Atlantic moisture on top of cold air where it becomes snow. So that is a real snowmaker phenomenon for all of the northeast coast. Now, New York's beginning to clear up from snow, and now the storm is moving up and toward Halifax and Nova Scotia. So then the next part is they got to dig out of all of that and move it somewhere or melt it. This would be a frightening sight if you get up in the morning. Let's go get the paper, right? From here to here, 30 inches of snow in Rhode Island, and that's when you open the door. So you can imagine how the entire eastern states are buried tonight. Well, for us, beautiful day after a clear morning. And tomorrow it's going to be a pretty good looking day, but you'll start feeling how that Gulf air rolls back in and begins bringing back the moisture into our region. During the morning hours, the winds will be fairly calm, but by the end of the day, you'll feel them out of the south and they'll be probably in the 20, 25 mile an hour range. So you'll notice them. I don't know if you're doing anything out that would be affected by winds, you know, putting up plywood or something, but it's going to be rather gusty in the afternoon hours. Also, we are in fire danger. Here you see it. We're in the high level right about there. So pretty much all of the crossroads all the way up to Houston is in the fire danger. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a fire danger out there in Live Oak County. So pretty much all of Texas, which has been in a drought and have had a very dry winter season, not having much fun. So tomorrow we'll get up to 75 in the sunshine, and then you'll be looking at 86 by the time we get to Thursday. Weak frontal system only knocks the temperature down a tad by the time we get to the weekend. So once again, here's our problem. This dome of high pressure is keeping any of those Pacific storms away from us. But I want to show you something. It's a glimmer of hope. Okay, so hope springs eternal. But I got a glimmer of hope for you. So while high pressure is basically diverting everything, as we get to Wednesday, Thursday, still nothing. Friday, still nothing. We've got that northwest flow. And here you go, Saturday. You start seeing a little moisture coming up from the Pacific over northern Mexico. And we saw this earlier in the year, earlier in the winter. And you can see how we do get a deck of clouds rolling over here, and we get some light rain mist kind of situation. Other than that, we are looking for anything that might help us out. So we're looking at your 7-day forecast. Lots of sunshine for tomorrow, up to 72. Port Lavaca, we're looking at Cuero getting up to about 76. And then you see the warming trend getting up to 83, 86. Sunny over the weekend, and I see nothing but 80s. And I'm talking high temperatures through the next 7 to 9 days. That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody, we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that, put Crossroads a Day on your phone. Don, back to you.
Thank you, Mac. And Sports Director Max Williams talking hoops playoffs.
That's right, Don. After the break, we're going to take a live look into how the Bloomington Bobcats game is going versus the number 11 ranked Thorndale Bulldogs. That'll be next in sports. Well, tonight we begin first round playoff action for high school boys basketball, as again, we're going to be covering the Bloomington Bobcats as they face the number 11 ranked Thorndale Bulldogs tonight at Giddings High School. And here's a current live score update that we got right now. As you can see, that's at Giddings High School. It's currently Thorndale is up 16-11 right now over Bloomington in this game. Again, for Bloomington, they come into this game as kind of like the underdogs here for this team, and they're trying to see if they get a big time win in the first round action later on here for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. We're going to highlight the game itself and get some post-game interviews, as long as we're also going to hustle Shiner and Calhoun's first round games as well. Now we turn our attention over to Frio Lady Cats, who are remaining in the UIL girls basketball area the postseason. They look to keep their season going versus Latonia Lady Dogs. This game is going to start at 6:30 p.m. at Yoakum High School. And again, from this one, I'll have the highlights from this game for you guys to showcase for 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. Now staying in the high school girls basketball ranks, but in the 5A All District Awards for Victoria East, as they they revealed their all-district awards from this past season. First with co-MVP going to point guard Avery Valentine, then first team all-district heading out there to Kamori Clark, and then second team all-district to Kiela Mathis, and then honorable mention all-district out there as well to one of their top players on the team. Coach of the Year and Rankin Williams out as well, and then full academic all-district awards. You want to check that full list out? Got a couple of names. Just see the web article posted on crossroadstoday.com/sports. Now, last week we highlighted the Texas Sports Writers Association announcing all the names for the 2A, 4A, and 3A ranks. Well, Victoria West had some players on the 5A list as well. For second team offensive guard Cameron Hamilton was named. Then second team defense went out to linebacker Jacob Freeman. Honorable mention to their place kicker Ethan Van Duzen, and then honorable mention to defensive lineman Andrew Henley, and then utility player Tavian Peoples was also mentioned. So shout out to all these guys getting named out there, the Texas Sports Writers Association awards. Now we're going to shout out Victoria East boys golf team as they competed at the Rockport tournament with Michael Simpson leading the way, having a score of 72 and earning a medalist champion. Also Jonas Roth and Tough Brett's carded a 76 overall. They had finished 5th and 4th place respectively, and then a main shade out to Gavin Salas. He had a hole-in-one. How about that? A hole-in-one in the third hole. It was 138 yards out. Got the ace there, so congrats to him and Victoria East for finishing in first place. St. Joe here in Victoria actually finished in second place with a total team score of 316. And then finally, the Houston Cougars look to get back on the win column after their loss to Arizona last week at home this past Saturday. They traveled to the Allen Fieldhouse tonight at 8 p.m. right here on ESPN. So we're going to have a final score, and hopefully Houston, Don, get back on track after that tough kind of loss that they had against Arizona. Again, they got some tough games that are coming up before they get to finish off the season there before tournament action. That'll do it here in sports. Don, back to you.
Thank you, Max. I'm wearing my good luck tie. All right, we're back in a moment. We'll tell you why this southern high-rise building got very patriotic in February. Finally tonight, downtown Miami was glowing in red, white, and blue as the world's tallest Olympic-themed skyscraper salutes Team USA's golden victory on the ice. The 700-foot-tall Paramount Miami World Center is illuminated with what is being called the world's tallest digital Olympic torch, a dramatic display stretching skyward in celebration of Team USA. The 60-story superstructure is also glowing with a massive 200-foot wide electronic Olympic flag and a supersized Stars and Stripes display. The tower ranks as the 10th tallest building in the United States, south of New York City. But they were fired up for the men's. Now they've been invited. They flew in today to Miami. They're supposed to fly into New York, but the weather said nah. So they went to Miami, and then they're supposed to be, the men's team was invited to be at the State of the Union tomorrow night. I have not heard that they are not going. The women were also, they won the gold medal in the hockey.
Yes,
they were also invited, but they have declined, the latest report on that. So we'll see how that goes. But it was a big time for hockey.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yesterday.
Both gold. I mean,
But, you
that
know,
game was insane.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, there's been just amazing stories. I guess every Olympic has that kind of stuff, right? Where there's these amazing
Storylines.
stories
Alyssa
of passions.
obviously, yeah.
Alyssa.
Like the women
I thought that was
bobsledder,
really
the
impressive.
42-year-old from America,
Exactly.
who's from New Braunfels, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes.
Oh, my
And then the
Wow,
and the
okay.
guy who's got the game-winning goal yesterday, his grandma lives in Dallas.
There's more follow-up
I
stories
was
for
going to
you.
say, thank you, Don. You're helping me out here.
And always a story to follow. Tomorrow will be cool in the morning, but not as cold, and we start warming up this week.
All right, thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining. We'll see you at 10.